This is my true story. My husband and I were arguing on our front porch when his mother pulled into the driveway. The second he saw her car, he pushed me down the concrete steps. I fell hard and twisted my ankle badly. When the police arrived, he told them I lost my balance. His mother backed up his lie. She said she saw everything and I just fell. I thought they would believe him. But what he did not know was our neighbor had security cameras, and she recorded the whole thing. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me where you are watching from and subscribe. We were standing on our front porch arguing about money like we had been doing a lot lately. He had been spending too much on things we did not need and our bank account was getting low. I was trying to talk to him about it, but he was getting angry and defensive like he always did when I brought up his spending. We were both raising our voices, and I could feel the argument escalating, but I did not think it would turn physical. He had never hit me before, never pushed me or shoved me or hurt me physically. We argued a lot, but it never got violent. Until that day, his mother had called earlier, saying she was coming over to drop off some things. We were supposed to be done arguing by the time she arrived, but we were not. We were still on the porch going back and forth when I saw her car pull into our driveway. The moment he saw his mother's car, something in his face changed. His expression went from angry to something else. Something calculated and cold. It happened so fast, I did not have time to process it or prepare myself. He put both hands on my chest and shoved me hard, really hard, with force. I stumbled backward, and my foot caught on the edge of the top step. I fell down 3 concrete steps that led from our porch to the walkway. I tried to catch myself, but I could not. I hit each step on the way down and then landed hard on the concrete at the bottom. The impact knocked the wind out of me. I felt my ankle twist underneath me in a way that was not natural. Pain shot through my leg immediately. My teeth rattled from hitting the ground so hard. I laid there for a second, stunned and trying to breathe and trying to understand what just happened. I looked up and saw his mother getting out of her car. She had a shocked expression on her face. She saw me on the ground, but I do not think she saw him push me. I think she only saw me falling or saw me already on the ground. My husband immediately ran down the steps toward me. His whole face changed again. Now he looked concerned and worried, like a caring husband whose wife just had an accident. He reached for me and asked if I was okay. His voice was full of fake concern. I could hear the acting in it. But his mother could not. She rushed over asking what happened, but her eyes were on him, not on me. She was looking at her son to explain what she just witnessed. And he was ready with his lie. He said I lost my balance, that I just stumbled and fell, that he tried to catch me but was not fast enough. His mother believed him instantly. She nodded and told me I needed to be more careful. She said I should watch where I was walking. I was still on the ground. My ankle was throbbing and swelling already, and they were both standing over me, rewriting what just happened right in front of my eyes. My husband helped me up from the ground with this fake gentleness that made me sick. He put his arm around me and supported my weight as I hobbled toward the house. His mother followed us inside, still talking about how clumsy I was, how I never paid attention to where I was going, how I was lucky I did not hurt myself worse. I wanted to scream at her that her son pushed me, that this was not an accident, that I did not just lose my balance, but I could not get the words out. I was in shock, in pain, and scared. My husband helped me to the couch and went to get ice for my ankle. His mother sat down next to me and patted my hand. She said her son was such a good husband for taking care of me, that I was lucky to have someone so attentive. I looked at her and wondered how she could not see the truth, how she could not question his story. But she did not. She just accepted everything he said without asking me a single question about what happened. My ankle was swelling fast and turning purple. The pain was getting worse, not better. I could barely move it without wanting to cry out. My husband came back with ice wrapped in a towel and gently placed it on my ankle. He was still playing the concerned husband role, still acting like he cared. His mother watched him with pride in her eyes, proud of her son for being so caring and helpful. I sat there with ice on my injury that he caused and listened to them talk about me like I was not even there. They discussed how clumsy I had always been, how I was always tripping over things or bumping into stuff. They were creating a narrative that this was just another example of me being accident-prone, that I was the problem, not him, never him. The ice was not helping. The pain was not going away. My ankle felt like it might be broken or at least badly sprained. I told them I needed to go to the hospital, that I thought something was seriously wrong. My husband looked annoyed for a split second, but then his face went back to concerned. He said of course we would go if I thought I needed to. His mother offered to drive us both. She said she did not mind and wanted to make sure I was okay, but something in me did not want to be trapped in a car with both of them. Did not want to be surrounded by people who were lying about what really happened. I told them I was going to call an ambulance instead. My husband said that was not necessary, that we could just drive and it would be faster, but I insisted. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911, told the operator that I had fallen down some steps and hurt my ankle badly, that I needed an ambulance. The operator asked me questions about my injury and my pain level. Then she asked me something that caught me off guard. She asked if I felt safe, if anyone had hurt me. The operator's question hung in the air. She asked if I felt safe, if anyone had hurt me. I froze. My husband and his mother were both staring at me, both listening to my side of the conversation. I could feel their eyes on me, waiting to hear what I would say. I opened my mouth to say I was fine, that I just fell. That was the safe answer, the answer that would not make things worse. But something in the operator's gentle voice made me hesitate. She asked again if I was safe right now, if I needed help beyond medical assistance. I could hear the concern in her voice, like she knew something was wrong, like she had heard this situation before. I told her I fell down the steps outside my house. My voice was shaking. She asked how I fell. I said I lost my balance, but my voice did not sound convincing, even to my own ears. She asked if I was alone. I said no. My husband and his mother-in-law were with me. She said okay, and that help was on the way, that both an ambulance and police officers would be arriving. My husband's face changed when I said police were coming too. He asked why police were coming for a fall. I told him I did not know, that the operator said it was standard for injury calls. He looked nervous, but tried to hide it. His mother did not seem concerned, just kept fussing over my ankle and saying everything would be fine. Within 10 minutes, I heard sirens outside. 2 police officers arrived along with the paramedics. The paramedics came in first and started examining my ankle, asking me questions about pain and mobility. One of the police officers stood in the doorway watching. The other one asked if he could speak to me privately. My husband immediately said that was not necessary, that I just fell, and there was nothing to investigate. But the officer ignored him and asked me again. I nodded. The paramedics helped me stand, and I hobbled with them toward the ambulance outside. One of the officers followed us. Once we were outside, away from my husband and his mother, the officer asked me directly what happened. He asked if someone pushed me. His voice was kind but serious. I looked back at the house. I could see my husband and his mother standing in the doorway watching us, both of them staring, waiting to see what I would say. The officer stepped between us so they could not see my face. He asked again, "Did someone push you down those steps?" I felt tears starting to fall. My whole body was shaking. I was terrified of what would happen if I told the truth. Terrified of my husband's reaction. Terrified that no one would believe me anyway. But I was also tired. So tired of being scared. So tired of protecting him. So tired of lying. I looked at the officer and whispered 3 words that changed everything. Yes, my husband. My husband pushed me. The officer's expression changed immediately when I told him the truth. He nodded and asked if I was safe talking here or if I wanted to go somewhere else. I said here was fine because there were people around. He called over to his partner, and they both came to talk to me while the paramedics continued checking my ankle. But before the officers could ask me more questions, my husband came walking quickly toward us. His mother followed right behind him. He had this look of concern and confusion on his face. All fake, all performance. He asked the officers what was going on and why they were talking to me alone. The officer told him to step back and that they were conducting an investigation. My husband acted shocked. He said, investigation of what? He said I just fell down the steps, that it was an accident, that he saw the whole thing. The officer asked him to explain exactly what happened. My husband launched into his story. He said we were standing on the porch talking when I suddenly lost my balance and fell backward down the steps. He said he tried to reach for me to catch me, but I was already falling. He said it happened so fast. His voice was full of emotion. He sounded genuinely upset and worried, like a husband who just watched his wife get hurt and could not stop it. His mother jumped in to support his story. She said she saw everything too, that she was getting out of her car when it happened. She said she saw me fall. She confirmed that my husband tried to catch me, but could not. She said it was clearly an accident and that I was just clumsy. She said I was always falling or tripping over things. The officers looked at each other. Then they looked at me. I could see doubt in their eyes. Here was my husband and his mother both telling the same story, both witnesses who said it was an accident. And then there was just me saying he pushed me. No other witnesses, no proof, just my word against theirs. My husband kept talking. He said maybe I was confused from the fall, that maybe I hit my head and was not remembering things clearly. He said I had been stressed lately, and maybe that was affecting me. He was making me sound unstable, making the officers question whether they should believe me. I felt hopeless. I knew what I felt. I knew he pushed me with both hands. I knew it was not an accident. But how could I prove it? It was 2 against 1, and one of them was his mother, who had no reason to lie. The officers looked like they were starting to believe my husband's version, starting to think maybe I was confused or mistaken or making things up. My husband reached toward me like he wanted to comfort me. I pulled away from him. He looked hurt by that, made it seem like I was being unreasonable, like I was pushing away someone who was just trying to help. I felt trapped, felt like I was going to lose this, felt like he was going to get away with it again. Then something happened that I did not expect. I heard a voice calling from across the yard. Everyone turned to look. It was Mrs. Chen, our elderly neighbor who lived in the house next door. She was walking toward us faster than I had ever seen her move. She was probably in her 70s and usually walked very slowly, but right now she was moving with purpose. She was holding something in her hands, a tablet. She was waving it in the air. She called out to the police officers, said she had cameras, said she saw everything, said she recorded it. I felt my heart jump. Cameras. She had security cameras. I looked at my husband and watched his face go completely white. All the color drained out in seconds. His mother looked confused. She asked what Mrs. Chen was talking about. Mrs. Chen walked right up to the officers and held out her tablet. She was breathing hard from walking so fast. She said her security cameras faced the street and they caught everything that happened on our front porch. She said she watched it happen from inside her house. She said she saw my husband push me. The officers immediately took her tablet and started looking at the screen. Mrs. Chen showed them how to play the video. I watched the officers' faces as they watched the footage. Their expressions changed. Their jaws got tight. They looked angry. They watched the video once. Then they played it again. My husband tried to look at the screen, but one of the officers blocked him, told him to stay back. His mother was asking what was on the video, asking what they were watching, but nobody answered her. After watching it twice, the officers looked at my husband very differently than before. Not with sympathy or understanding, with disgust, with anger. One of them asked if there was audio. Mrs. Chen said yes. They watched it again with the sound on. I could not hear what they were hearing, but I could see their reactions. One officer shook his head. The other one's face got red. They were seeing the truth now, seeing what really happened, seeing him push me, seeing me fall, seeing him immediately change his behavior the second his mother's car door opened. The video did not lie, could not be explained away, could not be reinterpreted. It showed exactly what happened. My husband started stammering, started trying to explain before they even said anything. He could tell from their faces that the video showed something bad, something he could not talk his way out of. His mother kept asking what was happening. What was on that video? Why were the officers looking at her son like that? But nobody was paying attention to her anymore. All eyes were on my husband, the man who just got caught in his lie, the man who pushed his wife and then blamed her for falling, the man whose whole performance was captured in high-definition video. One of the officers turned the tablet around and held it up so my husband could see the screen. He asked my husband if he wanted to revise his statement about what happened. My husband stared at the screen. I could see his eyes moving as he watched himself push me. Watched himself lie. Watched his whole story fall apart. His face went from white to red. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out at first. Then he started stammering, trying to come up with an explanation. He said it was not what it looked like. The officer asked what it looked like then. My husband said he barely touched me, that I was overreacting, that it was not really a push. The officer replayed the video and asked him to watch it again. Asked him to explain how putting both hands on someone's chest and shoving them backward down concrete steps was barely touching them. My husband had no answer. He just stood there, looking trapped, looking caught. His mother finally got close enough to see the screen. One of the officers let her watch the video. I watched her face as she saw what her son did, saw the truth she had been denying. Her expression went from confusion to shock to horror. She looked at her son with disbelief in her eyes, like she was seeing him for the first time. She asked him if he really did that, if he really pushed me. He tried to explain to her, tried to say it was an accident, that he did not mean to hurt me, that I was exaggerating how hard he pushed, but she had just watched the video. She saw the force, saw the intent, saw him immediately pretend to be concerned the second she appeared. She realized he had lied to her too, had used her as part of his cover story, had made her an accomplice in his lie. My husband kept trying to minimize what happened. He said it looked worse on video than it really was. He said I barely got hurt. He said couples fight and sometimes things get physical, but it does not mean anything. He said I was making a big deal out of nothing. The officers were not buying any of it. They had seen the video. They had heard me tell them he pushed me. They had watched him lie to their faces. One officer asked my husband to put his hands behind his back. My husband's eyes went wide. He asked why, what was happening. The officer said he was under arrest for assault and battery, for filing a false police report, for attempting to obstruct justice. My husband started panicking, started saying this was crazy, that they were overreacting, that he did not need to be arrested over a little push, that his wife was fine, that she was not even hurt that badly. But they were already putting handcuffs on him, reading him his rights. His mother started crying and begging the officers not to arrest him, saying it was a misunderstanding, saying her son was a good man who made a mistake. The officers were not listening to his mother's pleas. They had seen the evidence. They knew what happened. There was no talking their way out of video footage that showed clear assault. They walked my husband toward the police car that was parked in front of our house. He was still trying to argue with them, still trying to explain that it was not a big deal, that I was his wife and we had arguments sometimes, that this was a private matter between us. But the officers told him that assault is assault regardless of the relationship, that pushing someone down concrete steps causing injury is a crime. His mother followed them, crying and asking what she should do, asking how she could help him. One officer told her she could follow them to the station, but there was nothing she could do right now. They put my husband in the back of the police car. I watched through the window as he sat there with his hands cuffed behind his back. He looked angry now. The fake concern was completely gone. Now he just looked furious. Probably furious that he got caught. Furious that his lie did not work. Furious that I told the truth. Mrs. Chen came over and stood next to me. She put her hand on my arm gently. Her touch was comforting, grandmotherly. She asked if I was okay. I nodded, but started crying. She squeezed my hand. Then she said something that shocked me. She said she had been recording for months, that whenever she heard yelling coming from our house, she would check her cameras and save the footage. She said this was not the first time she had seen him treat me badly, not the first time she had seen concerning behavior. She said she had been keeping all the videos just in case I ever needed them, just in case something like this happened. I asked her why she never said anything before, why she never came over or called the police herself. She looked sad. She said she wanted to respect my privacy. She said she did not want to interfere in my marriage unless I asked for help. But she said she had been worried about me for a long time. She said she could hear the arguments through the walls, could hear him yelling at me, could sometimes hear things breaking. She said she installed the camera that faced our house specifically because she was concerned. She wanted to have evidence if things ever got worse, if I ever needed proof. And today, I needed proof. Today, her camera saved me from being called a liar. Saved me from my husband and his mother convincing the police that I was confused or making things up. The video showed the truth that I could not prove with words alone. Mrs. Chen said I was not alone anymore, that she had been watching out for me even when I did not know it, that she would testify if needed, that she would provide all the videos she had saved. She said I deserved better than how my husband treated me, that no woman should have to live in fear in her own home. The paramedics finished examining my ankle and said I needed to go to the hospital for x-rays. They were pretty sure it was broken, or at least severely sprained based on the swelling and my inability to put weight on it. They helped me into the ambulance. Mrs. Chen said she would lock up my house for me and keep an eye on things. She gave me her phone number and told me to call her if I needed anything at all. His mother stood in the driveway looking lost and confused. She did not know what to do. Her son was arrested. Her daughter-in-law was being taken to the hospital. Everything had fallen apart in less than an hour. One of the officers told her she should probably go home, that there was nothing more she could do here. She looked at me like she wanted to say something, but I turned away. I could not deal with her right now, could not hear whatever excuse or apology she was going to offer. The ambulance drove me to the hospital. The paramedics were kind and gentle. They did not ask too many questions about what happened, just focused on my medical care. At the hospital, they took x-rays of my ankle. The doctor came back and said it was fractured in 2 places. I would need a cast and crutches. I would be off my feet for at least 6 weeks. They gave me pain medication and put a temporary splint on until the swelling went down enough for a proper cast. While I was waiting in the exam room, one of the police officers from earlier came to check on me. He said they had taken my husband to the station and booked him. He was being charged with domestic violence assault and filing a false report. The officer said I would need to give a formal statement when I was feeling up to it. He said the video evidence from Mrs. Chen was very strong, that my husband would likely be held overnight and have a bail hearing in the morning. He asked if I had somewhere safe to stay. He said my husband would probably be released on bail within a day or 2, and I should not go back to the house alone. I told him I could stay with my sister. He said that was good. He gave me his card and told me to call if I felt unsafe or if my husband tried to contact me. He said there would be a restraining order put in place as part of his bail conditions, that my husband would not be allowed to come near me or contact me. I sat there in that hospital bed processing everything that happened. A few hours ago, I was arguing with my husband on our porch. Now he was in jail. Now I had a broken ankle. Now I had video evidence of him assaulting me. Now everyone knew the truth. Part of me felt relieved that someone finally saw what he did, that I was not crazy or dramatic or making things up. Part of me felt scared of what would happen next, scared of his anger when he got out, scared of facing all of this. My sister picked me up from the hospital late that night. I had called her from the emergency room and told her everything that happened. She was furious and heartbroken at the same time. She said I should have told her sooner that things were bad, that she would have helped me. But I had been hiding it, hiding the arguments and the verbal abuse and the way he made me feel small. I did not want anyone to know, did not want to admit my marriage was falling apart. She drove me to her apartment and helped me get settled in her guest room. She made me tea and sat with me while I cried. Really cried for the first time since everything happened. I cried from pain and fear and relief, all mixed together. The next morning, my sister went to my house with Mrs. Chen and packed some of my clothes and important documents. Mrs. Chen gave her the spare key I had given her months ago for emergencies. My sister said the house looked normal. No sign that anything bad had happened there. She brought me my laptop and phone charger and some personal items I needed. Later that day, I got a call from a victim advocate. She worked with the district attorney's office and was assigned to my case. She explained the legal process to me, Said my husband had a bail hearing that morning and was released on $20,000 bail. Said there was a no-contact order in place. He was not allowed to call me or text me or come near me. If he violated it, he would go back to jail immediately. She said the case would likely take several months to go through the court system. That I would probably have to testify eventually. She asked if I wanted to pursue the charges or if I wanted to drop them. I told her I wanted to pursue them. I was done protecting him, done making excuses, done letting him get away with hurting me. Over the next few days, his mother tried to contact me multiple times. She left voicemails saying she was sorry, saying she did not know things were that bad, saying her son told her I was the problem in our marriage, that I was dramatic and made things up. She said she believed him because he was her son. But now she saw the truth. Now she knew he had been lying to her too. I did not call her back, did not want to hear her apologies or excuses. She enabled his behavior by always taking his side, by never questioning his version of events, by making me feel like I was the problem. Mrs. Chen checked on me every day. She would text to make sure I was okay. She sent me copies of all the videos she had saved from her security cameras. There were dozens of them. Videos of him yelling at me in the driveway, videos of him slamming doors, videos of arguments I had forgotten about. She had been documenting everything without me knowing, creating a record of his behavior over months. I started meeting with a therapist who specialized in domestic violence. She helped me understand that what I experienced was abuse, that it was not just one push, it was a pattern. The court case took 4 months to resolve. My husband's lawyer tried to get the charges reduced or dismissed, tried to argue it was a one-time incident, that he had no prior record, that I was not seriously injured. But the prosecutor had Mrs. Chen's videos, had my medical records showing a fractured ankle, had my testimony about the verbal and emotional abuse that had been happening for years, had the recording of him lying to police. The evidence was overwhelming. In the end, my husband took a plea deal to avoid trial. He pleaded guilty to domestic violence assault. He was sentenced to 1 year in jail with 6 months suspended. He had to complete an anger management program and domestic violence counseling. He was put on probation for 3 years after his release. The restraining order was extended for 5 years. He was not allowed to contact me in any way during that time. His mother attended the sentencing hearing. She cried when the judge read the sentence. Part of me felt bad for her. She was losing her son to jail because of his own actions. But another part of me remembered how she backed up his lies, how she made me feel crazy for saying he pushed me, how she always took his side without question. I filed for divorce while he was in jail. He did not contest it. The divorce was finalized within 3 months. I got the house and most of our shared assets. He had to pay for my medical bills from the injury he caused. I never saw him again after the sentencing, never spoke to him, never responded to the letters he sent from jail trying to apologize and explain. I moved on with my life, slowly but steadily. My ankle healed, though it still hurt sometimes when the weather changed. I went to therapy every week and worked through the trauma of what happened. I learned to recognize the signs of abuse I had missed before, learned that it was not my fault, that I did not deserve to be treated that way. Mrs. Chen became one of my closest friends. I visited her often and we would have tea and talk. She told me stories about her own life, about her late husband who had been kind and gentle. She said she installed those cameras because she wished someone had been watching out for her when she was younger and in a bad situation. She said she was glad she could help me when I needed it. I eventually moved out of the house where everything happened. Too many bad memories. Started fresh in a new place. Got a dog for company and security. Focused on my career and my friendships and rebuilding my life. Looking back, I am grateful for that security camera. Grateful for a neighbor who cared enough to document the truth. Grateful that I finally found the courage to tell the police what really happened. That video saved me from being called a liar, saved me from my husband's manipulation, and ultimately saved me from a marriage that could have killed me.